that's bigger than just Pimp C, and there's a lot of mysterious celebrities, a lot of mysterious celebrity death.
I don't know who, like, I'm just catching up on all these little mini docs they've been doing or whatever. I'm just watching. I don't know who did what this one say, Hood War song, I don't know.
In hotel rooms.
So tell me about Buddy. Can you Buddy the nigga who killed my cousin?
Because he was pulling people together. They killed my brother because he was pulling people together.
Okay, see, I'm confused. See that dude there. This one, see, they just put anybody on here because the Orlando Brown dude, yeah, that's not.
It's been almost 2 decades since the tragic passing of Chad Butler, better known as Pimp C, one half of the iconic rap duo Underground Kings, UGK. Alongside his partner Bun B, Pimp C made a massive impact on Southern rap. However, his sudden death in early December 2007 still leaves many unanswered questions. Could there have been more to his death than we've been told? Could this be a bigger story than we know?
I have this theory that's bigger than just Pimp C, and there's a lot of mysterious celebrities, a lot of mysterious celebrity death in hotel rooms.
Pimp C was staying at the Mondrian Hotel in West Hollywood, California. He was in town working on new music and had even been performing with Too Short. On the morning of December 4th, 2007, he was supposed to fly back home. His wife, Chinara, along with his cousin Ed, were waiting at the airport to pick him up. But
Why you? What up, my boy? Nothing. Been off YouTube because they don't want to let me make no money till March. Put my Cashapp up in the chats by you. It's $17THEHOGG. YouTube is, yeah. You gonna suspend me.
he never made it back.
At this hour, members of the hip-hop community are mourning the shocking death of well-known Port Arthur rapper Pimp C.
When they didn't hear from him that morning, Chinara called the hotel and asked them to check on him. That's when the hotel...
You see what I'm saying? Like, and it sounds like some AI shit that's talking on here. But yeah, that's when we called that morning.
They are mourning the shocking death of well-known Port Arthur rapper Pimp C.
When they didn't hear from him that morning, Chinara called the hotel and asked them to check on him. That's when the hotel staff found Pimp C unresponsive in his room, and sadly, paramedics pronounced him dead shortly after. He was just 33 years old.
It is news that has shocked and saddened Houston's hip-hop community.
Pimp C at the age of 33 was found dead in his hotel room.
The coroner's report ruled his death as accidental, pointing to his heavy usage of lean, a mixture of codeine and promethazine, combined with his sleep apnea as the cause. Like many Southern rappers, Pimp C often mentioned lean in...
Have you noticed YouTube has way more ads than it used to? Here's how you can block them for free.
This is Pi, and it blocks ads
in his music.
It's a pharmaceutical. You get promethazine with codeine cough syrup, and you mix it in your favorite flavored soda.
But since his death, a lot of people have questioned this narrative, suggesting something more sinister might have happened.
Like, what happened? And all I get back is, well, he was in his room by himself, and they found him. I'm like, was the door, did it have that thing on it? Like, was it the lock? Like, tell me something. I never really heard something that would give that closure for me. I never really heard anything tangible or true. Like, what happened to my guy?
There are those who believe.
See, that messes me up because we're short. Like, I can tell him, like, nah, you know, we went and had to go get his stuff out the room and everything and go identify about it. No, the door wasn't locked. Like, the thing wasn't on there. So, yeah, somebody had went out. You know what I'm saying? But I know how short, like, it's because Pimp was supposed to be getting with him that next day. He had told me they did the show at the House of Blues and they was finna meet back up. Man, I don't know this crap. Let me see what these people talking about if they even got their stuff right.
Pimp C was actually murdered by a man named Larry Adams, also known as Buddy. According to Pimp C's cousin, Pimp C was poisoned.
So tell me about Buddy. Can you buddy the nigga who killed my cousin?
The story goes that a bunch of people were hanging out in Pimp C's hotel room. At some point, Pimp C went to the restroom, and Buddy allegedly told everyone in the room to stay quiet because he wanted to play a prank on Pimp C. He supposedly put something in Pimp C's drink, and when Pimp C came back and took a sip, he almost immediately started throwing up blood.
So C went to the restroom, and Buddy said, look, y'all don't say nothing. I'm going to play a joke on Pimp. And he poured something into his drink. When he came back from the restroom, he started drinking it and almost immediately started throwing up blood.
What really convinced Pimp C's cousin that something was fishy was...
That part, I know, because me and Ed is the ones who pulled the cover back and had to see like the blood and the mucus from the pillows to like where his waist would have been. You know what I'm saying? Like we just hurried up and covered it back up because it fucked both of us up. We ain't know what the fuck was.
What he found when he went to the hotel to pack up Pimp C's belongings. When he pulled back the covers on the bed, he saw blood stains.
I packed C bags after he passed.
From that same hotel?
From that same hotel. I pulled back the cover of the bed and there was blood in the bed.
Additionally, Buddy had been going around Jackson, Mississippi, bragging about what he had done to Pimp C, according to the cousin.
You and I said that you had heard the same thing, that he was going around bragging.
Yeah.
That he had done this.
Yeah.
What? Yes, in the streets of Jackson.
Pimp C's mother also believed her son was murdered. She wanted to raise enough money to have Pimp C's body exhumed for further investigation, but sadly passed away before she could do so.
Mama died saying my baby was poisoned with cyanide. Her wish was to raise up enough money to have the body exhumed.
Author Julia Beverly, who wrote Pimp C's biography, Sweet Jones, Pimp C's TRILL life story, also supported this theory. She said Pimp C's mother was convinced her son's death was no accident and that he was murdered.
A lot of people, they still don't quite want to believe how he passed, what was going on with that. I mean, were you able to delve into that and figure out what was going on when he passed?
Yeah, there's his mom believes he was murdered.
Adding to the intrigue, some conspiracy theorists claim the media used the story of an overdose as a cover-up, suggesting that Pimp C was murdered because he was trying to expose certain individuals during an interview conducted just days before his death.
That's cool, but be gay and come on out and be that. Don't be in front of us and act like a straight-up G, and then you get over here and you let any boy bust up your back.
So what really happened to Pimp C? Let's dive deeper into the details. So, there's really no such thing as a death that feels expected, but Pimp C's passing hit particularly hard, especially since it happened during such a pivotal moment in his career. He died just months after he and Bun B had teamed up with Outkast for the hit International Players Anthem, I Choose You, which turned out to be UGK's biggest commercial success and one of the greatest rap songs ever made. Now let's talk about Larry Franklin Adams, aka Buddy. Born in 1983 in Jackson, Mississippi, Larry eventually made his way to Fresno, California, where he became a well-known player in the game. It wasn't long before Larry and Pimp C crossed paths and started building a relationship. According to people in Pimp's circle, Larry would often show up at Pimp's out-of-town shows, getting closer and closer to him over time.
Who was a guy named Buddy?
Man named Larry.
Okay.
We called him LA.
We had been toning down the content of certain things in the music lately.
Man named Larry.
Okay.
We called him LA.
We had been toning down the content of certain things in the music lately. My new album, of course, probably won't have any references to cough syrup in it.
Larry even invested a whopping $100,000 into UGK.
I'm not sure the total amount.
He said that on the phone.
He gave C like $100K.
Fast forward to 2007, Pimp was in LA finalizing a huge publishing deal worth 8 figures. But behind the scenes, something sinister was brewing, and Pimp's hotel room would be the scene of his untimely death. According to rumors, Pimp's wife Chinara might have had a hand in his death. One major red flag was that Pimp's cousin, who usually traveled with him, didn't make this trip. Apparently, Chinara told Pimp that his cousin was busy with work, so Pimp didn't arrange for him to come along.
I thought you had to work. This is why they was already gone. It's like, nah, where you get that from? Shanara told C you had to work so you couldn't go on the trip.
Wait a minute.
Huh?
Wait a minute.
So by her telling him I couldn't go, stop me from going.
Here's where things get shady. On the night of his death, Pimp was left alone in his hotel room with 3 people. Chainara, who was there at the time, left the room claiming she needed to move Pimp's Bentley to prevent it from being towed, despite the car being in a completely different state. Not long after she left, Pimp was allegedly poisoned and tragically lost his life.
He got the extra key, go move the car. Instead of me moving the car, she flew back to move the car, which left him alone. That bothered me for a long time, too.
Adding fuel to the fire, there were rumors that Chainara started an affair with Larry not long after Pimp's death, and even ended up marrying him.
Is it true that Pimp C's wife married a man named Buddy?
Is she texting someone behind your back? A single Spokio search can help you find out who she's messaging.
Same Buddy?
I didn't answer the shit.
Married a man named
after Pimp's death, and even ended up marrying him.
Is it true that Pimp C's wife married a man named Buddy? Same Buddy? That is.
Furthermore, there were allegations that she misused Pimp C's funds after his passing, leading to her removal as the administrator of his estate. In 2016, a Texas judge removed Chainara as the estate administrator after Pimp C's son raised concerns about how his father's finances were being handled. An attorney for Chad Butler Jr., Pimp C's oldest son, revealed to the judge that their father's home in Port Arthur was facing foreclosure. Expensive jewelry was missing, and various bills had gone unpaid. At the court hearing, Josh Hines, an attorney for Chad Butler, presented financial documents showing that Chainara had spent $150,000 of the estate's revenue between 2011 and 2013 and over $80,000 in the recent years. Public records also showed that the estate had a $7.2 million federal tax lien and owed $5.1 million to a former manager. Nobody's gotten any money, said Hines. She's on red carpets in Los Angeles and New York, and these kids have nothing. Now, whether these rumors hold any truth or not, it's wild to think about. But let's take a moment to dive into the life of Chad Lamont Butler, known to the world as Pimp C, whose life was supposedly taken away far too soon. Chad was born on December 29th, 1973, in Crowley, Louisiana, arriving prematurely as the first and only child of Charleston and Wesleyan Butler. Shortly after his birth, the young family moved to Port Arthur, Texas, which Chad would come to consider his true home. Due to his premature birth, Chad faced numerous health challenges growing up. He had a birth defect that caused his legs to point inward, suffered from digestive problems, had poor eyesight, and endured several bouts of pneumonia as a child. Music was always a central part of Chad's life. His father was a trumpet player who once performed with Solomon Burke, so their home was filled with the sounds of jazz, blues, and soul. Some of Chad's earliest musical influences included legends like B.B. King, Ray Charles, Jimmy Smith, Jimmy McGriff, and Marvin Gaye. Inspired by these greats, Chad began learning various instruments by ear, including the piano, trumpet, drums, and flugelhorn, long before he learned to read musical notation. When Chad was just 6 years old, his parents separated. His mother, Wesleyan, later married Norwood Monroe, a band teacher. Fortunately, Norwood's presence didn't create any tension. In fact, he and Chad bonded over their shared passion for music, with Norwood teaching Chad how to read music. In 1983, Chad had his first taste of rap music when a friend lent him an early Run DMC album. He was instantly hooked. Even at the age of 10, Chad started educating himself about the origins of rap, learning everything he could about this new genre that had captivated his imagination. Although his interest in rap was growing, he continued to pursue a more traditional musical path. As a teenager, he joined the choir, played numerous instruments at school, and even received a Division I rating for a tenor solo at a UIL choir competition. Despite his traditional musical pursuits, Chad's passion for hip-hop began to take over, encouraged by his stepfather, who influenced him to incorporate more musical instruments into his sound. Chad started writing and creating his own music. While still in high school, Chad began collaborating with fellow musicians, including Mitchell Queen, Bernard Bun B. Freeman, and Jaylon Jackson. Eventually, Chad and Bun B formed a rap duo, calling themselves UGK, short for Underground Kings.
When Pimp and I first became rap partners,
We were not technically in a group together. We were part of a collective of people. So Pimp was already in a group with another person, Mr. Queen, and that was actually, they were called the Underground Kings.
The moderate local success UGK enjoyed helped them generate enough buzz to land a deal with Jive Records in the same year. With a major label behind them, the future for UGK seemed brighter than ever. All they needed now was a strong debut album. On November 10th, 1992, UGK dropped their major label debut, Too Hard to Swallow. The album hit number 37 on the US top R&B/hip-hop albums chart and received generally positive reviews. Singles like Tell Me Something Good and Pocket Full of Stones garnered significant attention, with Pocket Full of Stones even featuring on the soundtrack of the movie Menace to Society, giving the group a taste of national exposure. Though it didn't reach the Billboard Hot 100, Too Hard to Swallow solidified UGK as a rising force in the rap game. With their second album on the horizon, anticipation was building. 2 years later, on August 30th, 1994, UGK released Super Tight. This time, the album broke into the Billboard 200, landing at number 95. It was a great commercial success. The single From The Back gained popularity similar to Pocket Full of Stones, continuing to put UGK on the map. Following their Billboard debut, UGK continued to move forward, and after 2 more years, the duo released their third and most successful album at the time, Ridin' Dirty. The album soared to number 15 on the Billboard 200 and received widespread critical acclaim. Pimp C's production skills and Bun B's unmatched lyrical flow were highly praised. Despite having no official singles or music videos, the album became their biggest commercial success to date, selling 70,000 copies in its first week alone. Its popularity and influence quickly earned it a place as one of the most influential albums in Southern hip-hop, especially in the Houston scene. After breaking into the mainstream, the duo decided to take some well-earned time off. Instead of working on their next album, they took a different approach. Over the next 5 years, UGK appeared on several tracks as featured artists and released a couple of singles in 1999, which would later be used on their upcoming album. However, there was no sign of its release. It's hard to say whether it was their decision to hold back the album, as rumors suggested they had intended to release it well before its original date, with advertisements for it appearing on some Jive Records albums as early as 1998. During those 5 years, UGK continued to perform countless shows across the country, participate in multiple interviews, and collaborate with some of the biggest rappers of the time, including Scarface, C-Murder, Master P, Outkast, Ludacris, and many more. Their streak of success didn't end there. In 2000, UGK appeared on 2 mega singles, Big Pimpin' by Jay-Z and Sippin' on Some Syrup by the legendary Memphis hip-hop group 3 6 Mafia. These collaborations further cemented UGK's place in the hip-hop world, proving that they were a force to be reckoned with. Despite taking a break, Underground Kings' popularity only seemed to grow, and with mainstream hits backing them up, it was time to make their next big move. Unfortunately, just as they were about to set a date for their next album, Pimp C ran into serious trouble back in Houston. On December 16, 2000, Chad was arrested at Houston's Sharpstown Mall after allegedly holding a woman at gunpoint and threatening to shoot her following a confrontation in a shoe store. The story goes that Butler and a woman named Lackitha Hullett got into an argument in the store. Hullett claimed that Chad pushed a gun into her side and threatened her, saying, "I'll shoot you." Chad, however, insisted that he only lifted his jacket to show the gun but never removed it from his waistband, while a couple of Hullett's friends backed her story in the police report. One of them admitted she never saw Chad actually pull out the gun, a detail also confirmed by a store clerk. This clerk stated that Chad remained calm and that Lackitha was the one causing trouble. He suggested that if Lackitha hadn't jumped on Chad, the incident might never have escalated. Following the confrontation, Pimp C attempted to leave the mall and get into his car. However, he was surrounded by numerous officers who instructed him to surrender. Chad ignored their orders, leading the officers to slam him to the ground so hard that they nearly knocked him unconscious. He was taken to Houston Central Jail and charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. The next morning, he posted bail of $10,000 and was initially sentenced to probation after pleading no contest and admitting to having a gun at the scene a few months later. With his legal troubles temporarily sorted out, UGK began planning their comeback. After a long 5 years, Chad and Bun B managed to gather enough momentum for Jive Records to finally greenlight their 4th studio album. On November 15, 2001, UGK released Dirty Money. Despite being released with little to no advertising, it debuted at number 19 on the Billboard 200, selling 98,000 copies in its first week. However, while the group had garnered significant attention over the previous 5 years, the album didn't perform perform as well as Jive Records had hoped. It peaked lower compared to their previous album and sold 250,000 fewer copies, even though UGK's popularity had doubled. Jive Records considered it a failure, unable to capitalize on the newfound interest in the group. Despite this, Dirty Money still received a lot of love from fans and the hip-hop community. As UGK's comeback was starting to take shape, more legal troubles followed. Only 2 months after Dirty Money was released, Pimp C found himself back in prison. He had repeatedly failed to report to his probation officer, didn't keep up with his community service hours, refused to pay outstanding fees, and tested positive for weed twice. His trial began on August 5th, 2002. Despite conflicting statements, with so many probation violations and pleading guilty to the Sharpstown Mall incident, the facts of what had actually happened were deemed irrelevant. The real question was no longer whether he committed a crime, but how long he should be punished for it. Mama Wes, Pimp C's mother, recalled that day as the biggest mockery of justice. Pimp C's lawyer made matters worse by portraying him as a drug addict struggling with mental health problems and experiencing manic states from depression. The trial didn't last long, and by 9:50 a.m., the judge sentenced Chad Butler, aka Pimp C, to 8 years in prison.
Pimp C recorded a long list of albums. Until 2001, Pimp C, aka Chad Butler, was arrested.
No, no.
UGK rapped about the prison system. Is it different?
That's ironic. That's ironic, isn't it?
Yeah.
His arrest and sentencing sparked outrage in the hip-hop community, leading to a widespread Free Pimp C campaign initiated by Bun B and many others. With Pimp C in prison, UGK was once again forced to go on hiatus, and both members pursued solo careers. While incarcerated, Chad married his wife Sonara and tried to make the best of his situation by reading the tons of letters sent to him each week from fans. After serving 2.5 years, Pimp C released his solo debut album, Sweet James Jones Stories, featuring material recorded before his incarceration. The album debuted at number 50 on the Billboard 200 and received positive reviews. Half a year later, Bun B released his first solo project, TRILL, which peaked at number 6 on the Billboard 200 and was a great success. After spending 3 years in prison, Chad Butler was released on December 30th, 2005, and placed on parole until December 2009. Now a free man, Butler vowed never to return to prison and focused on his next project. He immediately hit the studio and started working on his second studio album. On July 11th, 2006, Pimp C, which featured numerous guest appearances from prominent rappers. The production was handled by several legendary producers, including Mr. Lee, known for his work on platinum albums like Scarface's My Homies and Tupac's Still I Rise, Manny Fresh from Cash Money Records, and the iconic Mike Dean. The album debuted at number 3 on the Billboard 200 and was eventually certified gold. For many artists, being away for such a long time could mean the end of a career, but that wasn't the case for Pimp C or UGK. The duo picked up right where they left off and on August 7th, 2007, released their 5th studio album, the self-titled Underground Kings.
Pimp C, good to have you home, brother.
Good to be here.
How does it feel to be here, man?
You know, it's a blessing to be able to come home and get treated this way.
The double album Underground Kings was a massive project, spanning 2 discs with a total of 26 tracks. It featured an even more impressive lineup of guests than ever before, including international rappers from across the scene. Top-tier producers like DJ Paul, Juicy J, Swizz Beatz, The Runners, Lil Jon, Jazzy Fa, Scarface, and Pimp C himself contributed to the album, ensuring a high-quality production that fans eagerly anticipated. For years, UGK's fans had been waiting for new music, and when Underground finally dropped, they soaked up every second. The album peaked at number 1 on the Billboard 200, marking their first number 1 album. The single International Players Anthem became their only single to chart on the Billboard Hot 100, where it peaked at number 70. This massive success solidified UGK's status as Southern rap legends. After years of ups and downs, UGK was finally back on top, sitting alongside hip-hop greats. The trials and tribulations they faced made their success even sweeter, and they could finally finally revel in the well-earned limelight. However, the celebration was short-lived. Just a few months later, tragedy struck not only UGK, but the entire hip-hop community. The news of Pimp C's untimely death sent shockwaves through the scene, leaving thousands of fans devastated and mourning the loss of a beloved icon.
KG'z was at the peak of its career on the charts and on the way to a Grammy nomination when tragedy struck in December.
That's when Chad Butler, known as Pimp C, died in a Los Angeles hotel room.
Pimp C's body was transported back to his hometown of Port Arthur, Texas, where he was laid to rest on December 15th, 2007. His funeral was attended by many fans and residents of Port Arthur, with speakers including the mayor, his mother Wesley Monroe, and Bun B tributes poured in from fans and fellow artists around the world, highlighting Pimp C's impact on Southern hip-hop and his legacy as a talented rapper, producer, and cultural icon. Despite conflicting reports and numerous conspiracy theories, many people believe that Pimp C's death wasn't just a tragic accident, but rather part of a bigger and more complex plot. Pimp C had always stood firm on his beliefs, often calling out the music industry and refusing to conform to its profit-driven agenda.
Come on out and be there. Don't be in front of us and act like a straight-up G.
Artists to talk to each other. We get to talking too much, we just might put a union together. And if we unionize, they can't win no more.
These claims of an inside job in his death were discussed by numerous musicians within the industry.
That's what they didn't want, because he was pulling people together. They killed my brother because he was pulling people together.
Over 15 years later, the mysterious details of what happened on the night of December 2nd, 2007 remain unsolved, leaving fans grappling with unanswered questions and lingering suspicions. While Pimp C's death was nothing short of unusual, his spirit continues to live on through his timeless music and the impact he had on hip-hop. His raw talent, unapologetic honesty, and unwavering dedication to his craft left an indelible mark on the music industry, inspiring countless generations to come. Rest in peace, Chad Lamont Butler.
When it's time to start your business, it's time for Shopify. Design with easy to customize themes. Sell everywhere people shop.
Same, buddy.
You know, I have a million conspiracy theories. We could do a whole nother day on that.
Damn.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, another one is my guy Pimp C.
Right.
Who's like my little brother and who I saw probably 48 hours before
their peers. The duo chose the name Underground KG'z because of their unique country rap style, which they felt might be difficult for outsiders to understand. UGK's debut came in 1992 with the album Too Hard to Swallow, which included tracks that resonated with the harsh realities of Southern life. This raw, unfiltered style became a hallmark of UGK's music and laid the groundwork for their success. They continued to rise in the hip-hop community with albums like Super Tight in 1994. But it was their third studio album, Riding Dirty, released in 1996, that catapulted UGK to national fame. The album, acclaimed for its distinct sound and rich, multi-layered production, peaked at number 15 on the Billboard Top R&B Hip Hop Album Chart and remains a defining work of Southern hip hop. Their recognition soared with features on high-profile singles like Jay-Z's Big Pimpin' in 2000. But the making of the song was not without hiccups. Rumor on the street is that Pimp C initially didn't want to do the song at all. Jay-Z was in the room while the three rappers' teams were negotiating the deal and overheard Pimp C on the speakerphone taking a dig at him. According to interviews, he was on a group call with Pimp C and a record executive who offered UGK a $1 million check for a collab. But Pimp C was loyal to Tupac and wasn't too keen on working with Jay-Z. In fact, during a phone call about the deal, he made a comment suggesting Jay-Z should donate the payment to Tupac's mother instead. Realizing the tension, Jay-Z decided to personally meet Pimp C in Texas. This effort helped him to get past their differences, and Pimp C finally agreed to be a part of Big Pimpin'. That meeting eventually happened, and the song is now known as one of the most incredible rap collabs of all time, including Pimp C's iconic line, "What you knew about them Texas boys?" According to the story, Pimp would only agree to do 8 bars on the song, refused to fly to the Caribbean for the initial video shoot, wouldn't show up for the second shoot in Miami until his brand new Mercedes was delivered to Florida, insisted on having his girlfriend at the time in the video, and refused to take off his white, floor-length mink coat during filming. Bun, ever protective of Pimp C's legacy, has called his verse 8 of the most iconic bars in history. That, and collaborating on 3 6 Mafia's Sippin' on Some Syrup, significantly boosted their reputation. Yet, just as the group seemed poised to take over the world and properly put their hometown on the map, Pimp C fell into a spiral of legal troubles. Pimp C's first major legal issue occurred in 2000. He was arrested in Houston's Sharpstown Mall after an altercation that escalated to him allegedly brandishing a firearm. The incident led to charges of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Though initially managing to avoid jail time, Pimp C's legal battles took a serious turn in 2002. After failing to comply with the terms of his probation, which included regular reporting to a probation officer, completing community service, and staying out of legal trouble, Pimp C was sentenced to 8 years in prison. UGK was forced to go on hiatus, and Pimp C could only contribute to music sporadically through verses he had recorded before his imprisonment. During his time in prison, the hip-hop community rallied around Pimp C. Free Pimp C became a widespread campaign among fans and fellow artists. Pimp C was released in December 2005 after serving nearly 4 years of his sentence. His return to the music scene was celebrated with the release of his solo album, Pimpilation, in 2006, which he used as a platform to address his incarceration and its effects on his life and career. The news of Pimp C's passing spread quickly, shocking fans and the music community alike. The rapper had been in Los Angeles working on new material for a solo album, and the Texas icon was as feisty as ever in recent interviews prior to his passing. So when Pimp C's body was initially discovered in a room at the Mondrian Hotel, the news was met with disbelief by many. But eventually, his manager released a statement extending his official condolences to Pimp C's wife and children. Several hundred fans began lining up as early as 7:30 a.m. to ensure admittance to Pimp C's farewell service at the Robert A. Bob Bowers Civic Center on December 13, 2007. Thousands were expected. For some, the beginning of the farewell service was somber. DJ Paul of 3 6 Mafia sunk down in his seat in sorrow, and some friends and fans were crying before they even made it into the building. Not only was Pimp C a hip-hop legend, he was their legend. Pimp and his partner, Bun B, tirelessly repped their hometown throughout their career.
I love Monday.com.
What's Monday.com?
You don't know Monday.com? This is Monday.com. It's
Bun personally escorted Pimp's son into the service. After the farewell service, Bun B shared a tone of optimism. "It's not about the loss," he explained. "It's about the gain. We lost our homie, but we gained so much from his life. That's what people are realizing. People been so stuck in their grief and their pain. The pastor came and gave some good words. His mom, especially, got up there and gave people a lot of encouragement. To see his mom so strong made a lot of people realize, let me stop wallowing in my self-pity. If his mom can get it right, we all can get it right." Just a short time after Pimp C's passing, it was announced that UGK was nominated for a Grammy for Best Rap Collaboration for the track International Players Anthem featuring Outkast. I just got a call about a few hours ago that we got a Grammy nomination. Bun B said. Me and my VP from Jive Records, we're talking about this because we've been on this label for 15 years. We've known these people longer than we've known a lot of people in our lives. And he can always remember Pimp telling him, we're going to the Grammys, and them looking at this little kid from Port Arthur like he's crazy. He may make some good music and sell a few records, but that kind of stuff doesn't go to the Grammys. And 15 years later, a song I told him we shouldn't do, and he was adamant about it, and he got his Grammy nomination, just like he always wanted. But how did Pimp C end up face down on a mattress? On Sippin' on Some Syrup, a track for which UGK collaborated with 3 6 Mafia, Pimp C boasted of his affinity for codeine. Cough medicine, combined with a number of mixers, is a popular beverage for some southern regions. Cough syrup is often mixed with soft drinks and called lean. I got the red promethazine, thick orange, and yellow tuss, Pimp C rapped on the track. According to the autopsy report, Pimp C had prescription codeine in his system when he passed away, and initial reports at the time of his passing suggested the rapper had over-the-counter codeine in his possession. Pimp C also suffered from sleep apnea, which caused a blockage of the airways during sleep. The assistant chief coroner in the LA County Coroner's Office said the effects of codeine, when combined with a condition such as Pimp C's, are deadly. He had prescription medication in him when he passed away, and his levels were elevated, but not really high. So it wasn't an overdose from the codeine, but we think it was a result of taking the cough medication with his sleeping problems, said the coroner. The coroner explained that a disorder such as sleep apnea causing blockages of the airways during sleep. Meanwhile, the effect of cough syrup also suppressed respiratory breathing. The combination seemed to prove to be too much for Pimp C's body to overcome. But his mother had a different story. She believed that Pimp C's passing was no accident, and he was assassinated. According to her, Pimp C's passing involved suspicious circumstances, including the presence of an unidentified person who was with him at the time of his demise, whom she regards as a shady, strange character. She contends that this person, nicknamed Buddy, may have had a role in his passing, and she wasn't alone. Some supporters and those close to Pimp C believe the factors highlighted on the autopsy don't fully account for the sudden passing, speculating that he might have been deliberately poisoned. And there's been controversy surrounding the handling of his estate after his passing. Despite their suspicions, there does not seem to be a current investigation looking into the passing of Pimp C. Pimp C left behind his wife, Shanara Butler, as well as his 3 children, Chad Lamont Butler II, Decory Butler, and Christian Butler. Rest in peace, Pimp C.
At least he got the names right. Let me see what else they got on. There's too many of these. Too many. What is this?
The guy that was getting money at the time.
Embrace the journey, where each moment turns into a cherished memory.
There was a guy that was getting money at the time. And, you know, Pimp, he used to, at the time.
Know who did this. They just be making.
And that Pimp was.
I am going to eat only steak for the next 365 days to lose weight.
This was a typical
person of interest.
I'm saying, Sean Carter, you're a piece of shit. Taking Pimp C wasn't bad enough. You just want to go down there and you want to just remove all of the balls from every real Gangsta in Houston.
Pimp C's death has all side-eyeing the official story. And now the rumors about alleged foul play are getting louder. And get this, some insiders are saying that Pimp was gearing up to spill some major tea on none other than Jay-Z. And with all these new allegations coming out about Jay, people are starting to piece things together in ways that'll make you do a double take. You already know Pimp C was a legend. Half of the iconic UGK duo, a voice that shaped Southern rap, and a man who spoke his mind no matter what.
It was some other and some broad looking at you. And that shit is gay, and you need to get on some other shit. Me and this man got nothing but respect for each other. We ain't never put no train. We ain't no mother freaks. Family man was getting his paper. You know what I'm talking about? And I had to put that out there, bunker. Doing a lot of fugazi out here, man.
But now the autopsy report on Pimp C's tragic death in 2007 is raising some serious questions. And when you connect the dots to his beef with Jay-Z, it's giving a lot of people pause. Pimp C was found dead in a Los Angeles hotel room. And the official story was that he died from a combination of sleep apnea and a cough syrup OD. But here's the thing. Some recent findings and witness testimonies suggest he didn't just pass peacefully in his sleep. There are signs of a struggle in his final moments. And some insiders are even claiming that the room he was found in was shot up. And as you can imagine, a lot of people are connecting this to Pimp's beef with Jay-Z. See, Pimp C didn't exactly try to hide that he didn't respect Jay, and he refused to bow down to him. On top of that, there were even some wild rumors circulating that Pimp hooked up with Beyonce before Jay. So now a lot of folks are speculating that Pimp being so outspoken against Jay-Z put a bullseye on his back. But others are saying that this is yet another conspiracy about Jay and his power in the industry. So let's separate the truth from fiction. Was Pimp C's sudden death really an accident, or was there more at play here?
Because a little over a year ago, I was in bondage. Now I'm back out here reaping the blessings and getting the benefits that go along with everything that's out here for kings like us. The reason why we like this jewelry and this diamonds and stuff, and they don't understand, is because we really from Africa, and that's where all this stuff come from, and we originate from kings, you know what I'm saying? So don't look down on the youngsters because they want to have shiny things. It's in our genes. You know what I'm saying? We just don't all know our history. So peace to the Midwest. Keep it PI, you know what I'm talking about? Already. One love. UGK record for life.
Chad Lamont Butler, a.k.a. Pimp C, was a Louisiana-born, Texas-rated rapper and one half of the iconic duo UGK alongside Bun B. They made waves in hip-hop history, especially when they teamed up with Jay-Z on his 2000 smash hit, Big Pimpin', produced by Timbaland. The track hit number 18 on the Billboard Hot 100 and went platinum, cementing UGK's place on the mainstream stage. But behind the scenes, things weren't all smooth sailing. Pimp C and Jay-Z bumped heads a lot, and Pimp wasn't even sure he wanted to be on Big Pimpin' at first. He felt a way about Jay-Z because of his past tension with Tupac, and according to music executive Greg Taylor, who used to manage UGK, there were talks with Rockefeller's Dame Dash to seal the collab. Dame was ready to drop $1 million to bring UGK on board, but when Taylor pitched it to Pimp, he had a wild suggestion. Instead of taking the check, they should give that money to Tupac's mother, Afeni Shakur.
And so I called him instantly because I knew y'all niggas at the house. Right. I was like, yo, I was excited. $1 million. This is it. Rockefeller is the shit. Hey, Dash is I called Pimp and these niggas fighting. So I calmed them down. And then once Pimp locked in, he was like, wait a minute, Rockefeller. Ain't that where Jay-Z at? I was like, yeah. And I didn't get the connection. I was like, he was like, tell him to take that check over to Tupac mama and give it to him for stealing all Tupac's. And I'm like, what?
I put him on that Pac life point. he went, once I let him hear that Tupac, he went on his mission for me.
And get this, Jay-Z was secretly on the call and heard Pimp C talking trash about him the whole time.
Saying that Jay heard him say that, yo? Yeah, Jay heard him. He heard him. Because I had to jump up and apologize for this nigga to clean that shit up quick. Because I was like, I didn't realize he was in the room. So when I seen Hogg there, I was like, oh. And so I told him he had to come down and go see them and go talk to mom and go to lunch with, go to dinner with them and sit down and do it the right way, because that's just how Pimp did. If you didn't sit down and eat dinner with him and his mama, he ain't gonna break bread with you. That was just the game. Like, that's how he was raised. He had studied music. It was different, man. He knew music from the Conservatory Music of Art. He had studied from an orchestra standpoint. His mom had invested in his career. So to be who he was, so by the time people seen him, it was the counterculture of discovering hip hop and rap down there, and they were like a country version of Run DMC and everybody.
Great artists.
Or the new Ghetto Boys. It's like Jay Prince had them as the new Ghetto Boys. That's what they were. And luckily, he moved to Atlanta. We was able to get him with Short, and Short just put the game down, and the rest was history.
Right.
So that caused a ruckus because when they missed the first two Jay-Z albums because of it. And the next time around, I knew not to call Pimp because him and Jazzy was beefing.
Eventually, Pimp agreed to move forward with Big Pimpin', but he and Jay-Z were never cool like that. Bun B even said that it took some serious reverse psychology to get Pimp to agree to the collab in the first place. And even after the song blew up and became a huge hit, Pimp still didn't think much of it.
I got paid to be on Big Pimpin'. We didn't have that relationship. And to be honest, I don't think Pimp would have accepted a Jay-Z verse to be of equal value to him. So let's just break this bread and be done with it. Right. And to be honest, Pimp and Jay didn't really have a relationship in that sense. There was a lot of mutual respect, but Hov and I were always closer. Right. You know what I'm saying? I ended up getting a feature. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But no, it was really just about like we worked very hard to get where we are. And we're successful now for being purely who we have always said we were, Riding Dirty. Most critically acclaimed album we ever released, gold album, not one music video. You know what I'm saying? And to get to that point and to possibly in his mind throw it all away, because this dude want to pay you some money to do a verse on a beat that you would never rap to. You know what I'm saying? It just seemed like a lot. And it took a lot to kind of bring him back around to the idea of being a part of it, to the point where I just like reverse psychology. Like, don't do it then. Like, don't even worry about it. They ain't gonna do it. I'm just telling me we ain't gonna do it. You don't want to do it. You know what I'm saying? All right, Pee Wee. And I'm gonna do it, man. No, not in that sense. I mean, he was glad it worked out, but Big Pimpin' was not like in his top 10 UG songs. Like he didn't even want to do another one.
But there's another rumor about what really caused tension between Pimp C and Jay. According to some insiders like Pimp and Ken, Pimp C and Beyonce had a little thing going on back in the day. And as if that wasn't wild enough, Ken also claimed that Pimp made a private tape with Queen B.
Did Pimp C really have a tape of somebody in the industry that would break the internet? You look like you done seen him, Marvin. Marvin seen it. Tell him who it is. Hey, man, tell him who it is. We still trying to find out who was in this Pimp C tape.
All I can tell you, there was a famous R&B chick, and it was a guy that was getting money at the time. And, you know, Pimp, he used to be in the studio, and every now and then he had a camcorder, so he was able to get some footage. And he wanted to do something with the footage, but I don't know why he didn't do nothing with it. But if I could have got a hold of that tape, I'd be a billionaire, man. Hey, whoever it was, they would have to kill me, man. I know TMZ would have paid a bank for that one, man. But yeah, it is a tape, and if you read the comments, a lot of people figured out.
But here's where it gets even crazier. There's this wild theory that's been floating around for a minute, alleging that Jay-Z might have had something to do with Pimp C's untimely death. Here's the backstory. In early December 2007, Pimp was staying at the Mondrian Hotel in West Hollywood, working on new music and getting ready for a performance with Too Short. On the morning of December 4th, he was supposed to catch a flight back home to Texas, where his wife Chinara and his cousin Ed were already waiting at the airport to pick him up. But when they didn't hear from him that morning, Chinara called the hotel and asked them to check on him. And that's when staff found Pimp unresponsive in his room. Sadly, he was pronounced dead shortly after, and he was only 33 years old. The coroner's report ruled Pimp's death as accidental, blaming it on his heavy use of lean mixed with his sleep apnea. But here's where things start to get shady. DJ Paul from 3 6 Mafia later claimed that he got a call from Pimp C's manager, Rick Martin, who had seen Pimp's body in the hotel room. And according to Rick, the room looked like it had been shot up.
And
too much foolishness.